Boy. What's up, motherfuckers and motherfuckers? Boo, 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 boo. Choo-choo. What up, y'all? It's Tay. And yeah, I know it's been about a year since I posted on my YouTube. I be leaving it because this shit don't be working sometimes. Like I be giving it my all, and then it just don't work. But I had to understand it don't go that way. You gotta grind. So I guess I need to grind, right? Well, I was trying to do stuff that I thought other people wanted to see, things that, I thought what other people thought were exciting, instead of just doing what I think is dope. And that's movies. I love movies, bro. And if you're a movie fanatic just like me, then you might like this podcast. But if you're not, keep scrolling and send it to somebody who is a movie fanatic. And if you have a difference of opinion, put it in the comments. I'm not going to care. I'm going to read it, and I might make a response video to some of the comments on the videos that I've done. And I might not. Who knows? But the point is, I love movies. So why am I wasting my time doing food reviews when I mean, I love food, but I don't, whatever. I still might do a couple of those here and there. But I'm like, you know what you love? You love movies. So I want to be reviewing what I think about movies. Old, new, semi new, extremely old if I want to go back that far. But today, we're going to touch base on Kemba. If you haven't seen Kemba or don't even know what Kemba is, before you watch this video, go watch Kemba. Okay? Go check out Kemba before you watch this video. Or watch this video, then go check out Kemba and see if you agree with what I said. Okay? Now, because my memory gets foggy, I take notes about movies and whatnot to kind of like have some key points. So if you see me looking at my phone, it's not because I'm texting or talking to somebody else. It's because I'm looking at my notes, man. I got bad memory sometimes, okay? But I can recite a movie word for word if I watch it enough. That's another story for another day. But anyway, listen. Kemba was a good movie, okay? I will probably pop the picture of the movie up somewhere on my screen for y'all to see it. Who knows? But anyway, so Kemba is to me a coming of age film, in a way. I mean, granted, it kind of pretty much starts from when she's in college and then it graduates into her adulthood, if you will. That's why I call it a coming of age movie. It's definitely it's definitely not a, it's a definitely a unique story. It's not an everyday story you're going to hear, okay? So basically, I feel like the movie is like telling you everything that glitters ain't gold, basically, in so many ways. And to start it off, basically, her her story, I don't know, it reached it touched me a little bit, so I did reach out to her, but she never responded, which is fine. She don't know me. She could have thought I was a crazy person. Who knows? Um, but Kimba, let me see. Hold on, y'all. Cause her name was, I think it was Kimba Naomi Smith. I think. Don't quote me. I might be wrong. Let me make sure I'm not tripping. Hold on. I'm trying to pull up my notes. It was Naomi. Damn, was it Naomi? You know what? Even if I'm wrong, somewhere in this video I will properly put what her middle name was, but I could have sworn it was Kimba Naomi Smith. I feel like that's what it was. I was trying to look at my notes. I thought I put it in my notes, but I guess I didn't. Um, but anyway, so Kimba's from Richmond, Virginia, which is basically, I want to say, where the story. I think this no, the story takes place in Hampton, Virginia, I believe. Back in like 1990 ish, I want to say. But Kemba was born August 28th, 1971. Um, and she was in college. She pretty much fell for the bad guy. The guy that your mom and daddy kind of warn you about if they spotted. But he was, a mask manipulator. He kind of hid his identity for a while. Made Kimba feel safe around him. Typical stuff that happens when a person, is preying on your innocence, so to speak. She was an innocent girl, went to school, made good grades. Was on her way. And forgive me, I forget what she was going to school for. I kind of don't really remember them ever really mentioning what she was going to school for. It might have been law, if I'm not mistaken. But Kimba, was going through life and going through motions or whatever. Well, when she met her son's father, which I don't know what happened to all my notes. They just disappeared. But I believe his name in the movie was Khalil, but in real life, I believe his name is Peter Hall. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. She met him somewhere in the 90s as well. And like I said, they kicked it off. She liked him. She took him around her parents. He kind of sold this good man image until she realized that he really was in the drug game. He was in the drug game heavy, heavy. Now the story is a little loose and watered down, maybe for protection of identity of other people. So it doesn't really go deep into his expose of drugs, but he was playing her and playing another chick at the same time, had two different women pregnant at the same time, basically. And realistically, when you watch the movie, in a way, and this might sound harsh, but in a way I kind of feel like her parents weren't as vocal as they should have been about the situation. At least that's what the movie portrays. They might have been more vocal about what they felt about him than what we got to see in the movie. And if they were, I would have loved to see that aspect of how her parents viewed him once they seen what kind of man he turned out to really be. Unless she hid that from him, then they didn't know that he was abusive or whatever. But basically, she goes down this rabbit hole with this man, and she spends like 4 or 5 years with this dude, and they go on a run basically because he's wanted by the police. So now they're on a run, ducking and dodging, moving and grooving, or whatever the case may be. And around 1994ish, she gets hemmed up. She gets arrested. I don't really think they explained how she got hemmed up because he didn't get caught. I think she was going back home when she got arrested. But either way it goes, she ends up getting arrested. She stands trial while pregnant with his baby, his son, while pregnant. For privacy reasons, I won't disclose her son's name. I do know what his name is, but if you watch the movie and if you do your own research, you can find out what his name is. But I don't want to disclose his name, on my podcast. Might not be the best option. But anyway, so around 1994ish, like I said, she ends up getting arrested. She had a friend of hers that kind of was trying to tell her to stay away from him before it got that bad. Well, she didn't really listen. She did her own thing. She felt like she was in love, and he painted this picture of no other man's gonna love you the way I will. I've heard that story myself, but he painted that picture for her, so she fell for it. Well, in '94, she ended up getting arrested. And like I said, while she's incarcerated or in, the county, whatever you want to call it, she's still pregnant with their child. She got pregnant while they was on the run, so I don't know if he was trying to get rid of her so he can go be back and be with the other chick he knocked up or what he was planning. I don't know what he was thinking. But while she was, locked up, she ended up giving birth to her son, December 12th of 1994. When she gave birth to her son in the movie, it does kind of basically insinuate that if her parents would have left that prison facility after she gave birth or wherever she gave birth, that they would have took their grandchild and put him in foster care or DCF or whatever. So it does show that her parents stuck around to make sure that they took their grandbaby home, which I was glad that they got a chance to take the grandbaby home because the way the world is, they treat people who are in prison, and let's be clear, she was wrongfully in prison. She had nothing to do with his discretions, but she got, arrested for him. Well, during her trial, this is what another thing that I noticed that kind of bothered me about her trial. She had an attorney who was clearly friends with the prosecuting attorney, and they gave her this bogus deal and was like, "Yo, sign this deal, and you know, we won't give you so much time." Well, her parents, not knowing law and her not knowing law, trusted in the attorney, and he was like, "Don't fill in the blanks, we'll let him blah blah blah." They fill in the blanks. They slam this girl with so much cocaine that make her look like the kingpin. So they end up giving her like 26 and a half years for something she didn't even do. 26 and a half years. So during her time, like I said, she ended up getting incarcerated. I want to say, I think she got found guilty sometime in 95. I want to say, and actually probably 94. I think right after she gave birth to her son, she no. Actually, I take that back. I'm sorry. I think before she gave birth to her son, she was already found guilty. Yeah, she was. Okay, I'm sorry. It's been a minute since I watched the movie, so I'm trying to recalculate my steps. I'm sorry. No, she got found guilty before she gave birth to her son, because she took the plea deal. I wouldn't have took it. Honestly, she should have took the shit to trial because you got to prove that I had something to do with his bull. Just because he's, on the run, and eventually he ended up getting killed. So that's why she ended up getting slapped with the charges, because she wouldn't give him up right away. So she ended up getting hit with the charges because she wouldn't give him up right away. Then when she got ready to want to give him up, they found him dead. So boom, then she gets stuck with the bullshit, which I don't know. I would have been snitching, singing like a canary, telling whoever was else involved because I'm carrying a fetus. You know what I'm saying? But she honestly, I'm gonna be honest, she took it on the chin. Of course she was devastated to think I'm gonna miss 26 years of my son's life, 27 years of my son's life, but fast forward after she, like I said, after she gave birth on December 12th to her son, um, she was still in prison. So she was probably, I think she was already incarcerated for at least 3 to 6 months at this time. Maybe 3 months by this time. She was incarcerated by the time she gave birth to him. So she spends years in there. And, during her stay there, her parents, they would bring the baby so she could see her son and, whatever. And her parents, they really started fighting to get her out because they like, my baby's wrongfully in prison. So they started fighting to get her out of prison. Um, During their fight, they ended up reaching out, I believe, to the NAACP, which I can't remember the lady's name, but once again, go watch the movie and then you can get these names if you want to. But basically, there's a lady who hears her story, and they're like, yeah, we doing this. So they start spending years to help trying to get Kemba out of there. They even went so far to start doing like letters to the judicial system. Like they just, did what they felt was necessary. It wasn't until Kemba's parents, I forget exactly where they were, but they ended up running into Bill Clinton. And, they mentioned their daughter's name to Bill, and he was like, yeah, I heard of her, whatever the case may be. I think it's called a Clemenson or something like that is what they were trying to get for her. Anyway, so as time goes by, they're fighting. Kimba's like, fuck it, don't come back to don't come back to this jail. I don't want to see nobody no more. Don't bring my son back because he can't handle when he got to leave. The prison guards, they some assholes, basically like, don't even come back. So time going on, time going on, time going on. It's this lady in there that heard Kimba's story. And I guess they became close. I don't remember I think her name was Michelle, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say, but once again, watch the movie and you'll find out these people's names. But anyway, so her and this lady, they became tight, and she basically was telling Kimba, like, don't give up. You gonna get free. You remember, blah blah blah. After spending 6 years incarcerated, um, I want to say it was December of 2000. So she spent 6.5 years in prison and was finally released. Um, but the lady I was just mentioning, she was cool with. At the end of the movie, she give her this little necklace. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, I want you to hold on to this one. And I think she wanted to give it to her daughter or something like that. But Kemba held on to it. My biggest question about the end of the movie was if Kemba ended up giving that necklace back to that lady ever get released from prison. Like, I want to kind of know more about that lady's story a little bit too. I know it's about Kemba, but that her story seemed like something that might have been interesting to know about. But realistically, when I watched the movie, I will say this: as far as like me giving it a movie rating, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. Mainly because I feel like there was a lot of detail that was missing from her story. I don't know if she did that intentionally to keep some things personal and private, which is perfectly fine. But there were some things I felt that was missing from the story that might have closed some loose ends for people, especially when it came to um, her getting incarcerated. I feel like the movie just kind of like jumped straight to her getting arrested. There was no really build up or explanation as to, why she ended up getting arrested anyway. She like, how did she even become a primary suspect or a target? Like, what made the law think that she was involved? Because you look at her record, good student, was in college, real close to graduating, was doing very well. So, the real question becomes, what did she do to make the law think that she was involved in his shenanigans? So that was part of the reason why I couldn't give it a 10 out of 10. I still recommend to watch the movie. The other thing that I would say was missing from the movie was definitely um, some clarity on what the process was like for her parents as well. Like, what process, did they endure while she was in prison? Like, there, it would have been nice to see maybe um a little bit of her parents' aspect while they were in prison. I don't know if their parents are still alive. I didn't look that up, but I kind of was curious to, like, while she was in prison, what did it look like when they were at home with her son? Like, I know he probably asked an abundance of time, and to most people that could be a minor thing, and I'm sorry if it is, but to me, it would have been kind of cool to know that aspect. Now, the end of the movie, I will say this is another one thing. Actually, I'm gonna bump it up to an 8 out of 10 because the end of the movie I thought was pretty dope. At the end of the movie, the young lady that was playing Kimba, when she was coming back home, there was a bunch of people in the crowd and reporters. I thought it was pretty cool that Kimba herself actually stepped on screen to play one of the reporters that was asking her questions, and it was, to me, it was pretty cool. And like, if you don't look at it quick enough or pay attention good enough, you won't even realize it's her unless you were paying attention. Um, but it was a good movie. Like I said, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 instead of a 7.5 out of 10. I give it an 8 out of 10. Once again, it is a good movie to watch. I definitely feel like it's something for young ladies to watch, mainly ones that are like 13 and above, especially ones that are getting ready to go into high school or go to college. I feel like that's something that they should watch so they can kind of understand how quickly you can have a downfall in your life from following behind somebody that you thought you could trust. Um, but once again, Kimber was a good movie. And this has been the movie breakdown. I have been your host, Taylor. If you want me to watch a movie of yours, please send it in the comments. I will try to break it down and give you my aspect of it. This was my first one, so I will get better as time goes on. But for the most part, fuck with your girl. This has once again been the movie breakdown. Peace out.